Hi folks, here we are. It's October, nearly the end of the year already, and it's back to Sarah and I chatting. And this month's theme is we've decided to talk a little bit about documentation, but in the wider sense of the word. And those of you who know us well enough know that basically, if it isn't written down, it didn't happen. And you know, we're all about keeping your evidence. Just think about what you've done and how what you do to put things in place. So, Sarah, should we just talk about some kind of stuff that is around your records, but isn't actually the documentation of your clinical records, and some things you think you need to keep documented around them?
Sure. So if we think about if you're going to take a video of a patient, make sure that you have their consent and make sure that if you're doing it on their phone, okay, make sure that you've told them as well about the fact that it can go anywhere, can stay in the cloud. Also think about if you give any advice leaflets, make sure you document in the notes that you've given the advice leaflet, and also make sure that you can demonstrate which leaflet you've given them. So if you change a leaflet, you need to be able to say that it's leaflet whatever, whichever version you want to say that you've given them. Because if there was a complaint or somebody came back to say something about, oh, that advice you gave me or that leaflet or those exercises really made it so much worse, you need to know exactly what you gave them, the leaflet that was in your practice at that time. Another thing to think about is if you do domiciliaries, how are you transporting your notes to and from? I mean, a lot of people now have electronic records, so you're taking your computer, which should be password protected, and then you can write your notes there, but make sure that you keep your computer safe as you travel to and from. And if you take paper notes, they need to be transported in a lockable box. Because if your car was broken into or if you have an accident, there's evidence there of personal data, so it would be a data breach.
Yeah, yeah.
So just coming back to the clinical side of things, what sort of things do you think people should be really thinking about when they're trying to
Well, Well, I think
their
there's the general things that we've talked about, when we've done with people on training things, where you're talking about the standards. And, if you think of physio, it's the timed, it's your evaluation of your outcomes, your goals, all of those things. So it's really making sure, though, that your notes are doing what your processes are saying you do. So they're not contradicting them. So if you've written down somewhere what your process is and what template you're using, well, make sure that is what you follow. So that there isn't actually a formalized format that you have to follow for note taking. It's down to the professions, and each of the professional bodies, don't specify the exact way, but just make sure that you're consistent and that you can reason why you're using it. And that really important piece about evidence in shared decision making, because that's coming out in all the standards, isn't it now? Keeping the patient as absolutely the service user at the centre of what you do. And also the one that people sometimes seem to forget, and we've all been there, we've all written notes, is abbreviations. We all love abbreviations, but we've got to make sure that we've got them written down. And if there's a subject access request, then those abbreviations are sent so that the record can be read and understood, and that those abbreviations are on there. And I think that's something that we need to sense check and make sure we've done it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're going to look at the standards next time, what they
Yeah, we're
actually.
going to look at some things you could document around standards. So we'll see you all shortly and we'll do another one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.